Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. This is part 2 of Maria Belen Bernal Otavalo's disappearance. Maria disappeared on September 11, 2022, while visiting her husband, Lieutenant German Caceres, at the police academy. Her body was found 10 days later. German fled Ecuador after giving a statement to the police and wasn't seen or heard from until his arrest. While German was on the run, Cadet Jocelyn Sanchez was arrested and her case proceeded in court. On September 26, the Pichincha court summoned the parties to resolve the habeas corpus filed by the police cadet who had been arrested and prosecuted for the femicide of Maria Belen Bernal, who with his appeal sought to be released from prison. The court denied the habeas corpus and the cadet remained in pretrial detention. On October 12, the cadet's defense argued that she had been pressured when rendering her version of events on September 13. On that occasion, the cadet said that she had heard the screams, she had heard the fight between Maria and German, and even heard Maria ask for help. However, she did not call for help because she was scared and because she did not know who else was in the building. On October 28th, the Pichincha Provincial Court Chamber also rejected the appeal for preventive detention filed by Jocelyn. In addition, it resolved to maintain the precautionary measure of deprivation of liberty against the defendant. The objective of the young woman's defense was for her to face the process that was being followed against her while in freedom. German Caceres was finally dismissed from the National Police sometime in November. On December 30th, 2022, the Colombian Prosecutor's Office reported that with the support of the United States Marshal Agency, former Lieutenant German Caceres had been captured in the town of Palomino, located south of the Sierra Nevada de Santa Marta in northern Colombia. Diplomatic authorities of Ecuador and Colombia had meetings in Bogota to manage the procedures for the extradition from Colombia to Ecuador. The former police lieutenant was transferred with the protection of Interpol, the police of Ecuador, and Colombia. On January 3rd, 2023, German Caceres arrived in Ecuador at the Mariscal Sucre International Airport in Quito after being expelled from Colombia. That evening around 7:30 p.m., he boarded an Ecuadorian Air Force aircraft bound for the Simón Bolívar military base in Guayaquil. Upon his arrival, he was transferred to La Roca prison, one of the safest prisons that houses the most dangerous inmates in the country, including leaders of criminal gangs, among others. On January 12th, the State Attorney General's office collected new expert evidence from Maria Belen Bernal's cell phone, and after that has requested the court to set a date and time for a hearing to revoke the precautionary measures ordered for the cadet Jocelyn Sanchez. This meant that the cadet could be released, since the precautionary measures against her was preventive detention as an alleged accomplice to femicide. Officials from the State Attorney General's office entered the prison to take the former lieutenant's statement, this time for the alleged crime of procedural fraud, a previous investigation against members of the National Police who would have committed omissions and followed the femicide to escape to Colombia, despite the suspicions that weighed against him. Procedural fraud is when evidence is hidden or facts are manipulated with the sole objective of evading justice before or during criminal proceedings. a crime for which he can face up to 3 years in prison, apart from the 26 years that he could receive for the femicide. German Caceres admitted to having murdered the Quito lawyer in the police academy, and he did not implicate anyone else. However, as the investigation progressed, there was a third defendant, National Police Lieutenant Alfonso Camacho, who was accused of allegedly having heard what happened at the police school on the day of the events and not providing assistance to the victim. After 4 months in pretrial detention for the investigation into the femicide of Maria Belen Bernal, Cadet Jocelyn Sanchez regained her freedom on January the 18th, 2023. An audio recorded by the victim ended up exonerating the student of the crime. The family of Maria Belen Bernal will seek a sentence of 34 years and 8 months for former police lieutenant German Caceres for the crime of aggravated femicide and for having abused his work as a public servant when he committed the crime. Caceres is currently being held in the Guayaquil La Roca maximum security prison. Hopefully, this family will finally get justice for their loved one. I hope he is locked up for the rest of his life. What he did is absolutely despicable. I want to thank you for taking the time and listening to this video, and I will see you on the next one.